So, what happened at the club the other night? When I left you with that chick who looked like 5 days of bad weather.
Oh my God, Vic. Let me tell you something. She might look ugly, but that chick was thicker than a government check. You hear me? I loved every part of that. I might be, but that was all right with me.
All right, well, you get off while I do the intro.
Word up.
Hey, how y'all doing? Today we're going to talk about the black family. Are we doing as well as we think we are? Or are we in the worst position we've ever been in this country in our entire history? Join me and my panel today as we talk about the black family. Are we in the red? Family business here on A.P.O.V with Vic Christian. Hey, welcome to POV with Vic Christian, all POV with Vic Christian. I'm your host, Vic Christian. Today we're going to be talking about family business, how the black family is doing today. Today I got another all-star panel. Let's get right to introducing to them. Right to my right is a good friend of mine. He has been one of the hottest comedians coming out of D.C. He's right from here in Landover, Maryland, PG County. Give it up for Lawrence Owens. Next to him is our celebrity guest, is Dr. Shane Perrualt. He's a psychologist, author, and highly sought-after speaker featured on XM Radio and Black Voices. And he's also the founder of the African American Marriage Counseling.com. He has his own private practice working in Greenbelt, Maryland. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Shane Perrualt. Next to him is our expert, and he is back for his second time. He was so good, we had to bring him back. Is Dr. Otis Williams. He's a professor at Bowie State College in the Department of Sociology, or is it Counseling? Counseling. In the Department of Counseling. Please give it up for Dr. Otis Williams. And as always, we always take a guest out of the audience, and today we've been happy to be able to ask Mr. Leon Scott to join us. So give it up for Mr. Leon Scott, ladies and gentlemen. So this is unintended, but this is like the male show. Usually we have one male show, so we might have two this year. But this is a good subject because I think brothers don't get enough credit on this subject or whatever. So I'm glad we got all brothers here. So I'm gonna start off with the first question. I want to take a survey. How many of y'all grew up with both parents in the house? Lawrence?
Nope.
No.
Off and on.
Off and on?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, would you say more years was spent with both parents, or?
More years, yeah.
Okay.
More years on.
Well, about the first 10, my folks got divorced when I was like 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was real off and on at that point. But I mean, the beginning, yeah.
Okay, so well, it's like we got a good mix.
Different daddies count? Because I had a lot of different. If you, my fault, go ahead.
Okay, that's something we're gonna get you help with that. Yeah, right there. We got two of them. No, well, I mean, I didn't grow up with both parents all the time either. In fact, I didn't grow up with either one after a while. But do you think that because you two did have your parents, let's say, for a majority of your childhood, and the rest of us down on this end didn't, do you think there's a difference between how we process what a family is? I'm going to go to Dr. Shane first.
I think it's a definite difference. I think of my parents divorced when I was 7, and I have brothers by marriage, and I don't even call them stepbrothers. We're very close. Mm-hmm. My mother and my stepmother were just very different women. My mother, biologically, obviously, was more of your independent, strong black woman, and right. She had a particular view. You were going to know about it
exactly,
in
right.
unadulterated fashion.
Right.
My stepmother she was from Alabama, and she was she had been married for 25 years. She stayed married to my father for 30 years. She believed that the man was the head of the household and she was the neck.
Okay.
And the head doesn't turn without the neck.
Right.
At first I thought she was weak, to be honest with you, and I hope my brothers hear the rest of the story before they hear what I say. But at first I did, but in time I realized that she had a wisdom. And she made, I hate to say it, my father a better man.
Okay.
And so she was a matriarch in our family in a different way. My mother was a very resilient woman. When my parents divorced, she went back to school. She had her GED. She got her PhD. She was a very, very visionary woman. My stepmother didn't have as much education, but she had a lot of wisdom. I say that to say, as I look at my two parents, as I look at my two mothers, I learned different things from them.
Okay.
I learned a lot from my mother, who had two 25-year marriages, and I think those role models make a difference in how we negotiate things.
Dr. Otis, I think you're sitting there, you're agreeing with Dr. Shane.
Absolutely. My role changed, I think, when my father was in the household versus when he was not there. So
you were the man of the house.
Exactly. I was the oldest, and that was the oldest male. And so when my parents were separated, my role was pretty much taking care of my siblings.
Okay.
And being there for my mom. And when my father was in the household, I pretty much took a step back.
I got you. What about you, man?
Yeah, well, with me, I mean, I definitely.
Leon.
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to make sure that Leon.
Yeah, well, definitely, my folks, like I said, they got divorced when I was around like 10, and my dad, I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from my mom too, but it's like my dad. It was kind of like I saw him like every now and again. It's like it was kind of a rough divorce. They kind of like they argued a lot, and it got to the point where like when I was hanging out with one, the other one was like, what was he saying about me? Or what was she saying about me? I'm like, hey, don't leave me out of this, so.
That competition kind of thing. Well, Dr. Shane, what you were talking about, to me, it kind of sounded as if it was more of a difference in concepts of where the women were raised. I mean, at least in I might be not looking at it in the way that you might look at it or something like that. It seems like your mom, your biological mother, being raised further north. Women up here, I mean, I think that the socioeconomic structure makes women more independent on their own anyway. And I think that because the South is a bit more traditional, even with the church being more involved in it, it makes that mindset different also. I don't know, Lawrence, what you think, man?
Well, my father was never around. He can walk in here right now, I wouldn't know what he looked like. I mean, but one thing that I thank my mother for is that she didn't allow me to use that as an excuse. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, because when the kids are born, we're not asked to be here. So you still have a responsibility that you have to take on, and she did the best she could with me and my sister, and I don't have any complaints. But it was tough, because when it was time to ask things, I had to go to her. I know I'm quite sure she'd answer it to her knowledge, but it's just uncomfortable when you asking her about male things. Like I had to go to her about erections. My thing. How uncomfortable that's
uncomfortable. You saying it right now to me.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to sit down there. But she was all. The point I'm making is that she was all I had, and then sometimes we have to use all that we have as far as that, like everybody else is throwing. You just can't take for granted. You just got to be blessed with what you had, because you could have nothing.
Right, that's true. But now, staying on this line of thinking, I want to say, how much do outside influence play in influencing how a black family is structured? And it can be any outside influence. It could be friends, society. It could be.
I think outside influence comes in as much as you allow it to. That's just my opinion on that. A lot of times, sometimes people have a tendency to maybe live their life for other people. The term keeping up with the Joneses. A lot of times you can go by how you was raised, what I'm saying? So a lot of times, like my mother used to say, have kids, as older as possible, because she was saying the more years you have on this earth, the more you are able to teach that child. So it's up to you whether you want these outside influences to come in, but you can only teach what you know.
Dr. Otis?
Well, I grew up in Washington, D.C., where the neighborhood was pretty much your family. So when you speak of outside influences,
but that's not anymore. Today people don't even want you looking at their kids.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? There used to be a time, and even when I was growing up, where the next door neighbor knew your grandmother or anything well enough that if she saw you doing something wrong,
Right.
And it went and grabbed you, took you to your grandmother or your mama and said, I just hit him, and this is why I hit him. And then you got your butt whipped again. And she'd make her coffee. As she finished whipping your butt, they talk about how, oh, did you hit him like this? And
Absolutely.
But it doesn't happen. But you were saying you were raised, more it takes a village kind of mindset.
It takes a village. I had blood brothers, kin folks, play cousins, that sort of thing.
Okay. Leon, let me go to you real quick.
Yeah, well, actually, I agree with what he said about as far as outside influences can affect you. But I mean, I was kind of fortunate as far as I had a lot of relatives and older friends in the neighborhood and everything. They kind of like basically told me, you know, this isn't for you or don't do this or whatever. And I kind of just listened to folks. I was good enough. I was smart enough to listen,
right,
as opposed to just you know.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to continue this conversation. I want to get Dr. Shane's view on this question also. We'll be right back with that in just 1 second on All P.O.V.